Hello everyone, Amethine here, back again with yet another full guide for Star Wars The Old Republic. Today, we are going to be focusing on the Master Mode version, also known as the Nightmare version of Titan 6 in the Scum and Villainy operation. We're going to focus on the boss's key mechanics, as well as some strategies that groups can use to get through this fight, including some DCDs that different classes can use, and the most important part of this fight, which is burn phase. So, let's get into it. Here we go. Alright, group ready, Titan 6, here we go.
Alright.
2, 1.
Okay, the fight has commenced, so we're going to pause it here for a minute, and I'm going to give you a relatively quick overview of the boss's rotation. I'm not going to go into any DCD strategies or anything like that just yet. I will do that as each ability occurs on screen. But the overview of the rotation is this. He is going to stun a tank, he is going to do lots of missiles, he is going to do airstrike, he is going to put out 2 huge grenades, then he's going to do lots of missiles again, and then he is going to do something called launch, just like hard mode, but with some minor differences. Nod up when it's ready.
Yeah. Up's up.
Thank you. Alright, you can see here that Titan 6 has stunned one of our tanks. You can see it by this little quake graphic on the ground underneath that tank, and they can use their CC breaker to get out of that and immediately taunt the boss back, or the second tank can take the boss from them while that person just eats the stun, which is a very long stun, mind you. It is not like 2 or 3 or 5 seconds. It's more like 10-15 seconds. It feels like an eternity. So CC breaker is recommended to get out of that so that you're ready to take the boss again if you don't take him immediately. Spread out.
Airstrike at 15.
Okay, so we have our first lots of missiles. So the group needs to spread out so that we are not taking extra damage from each other by stacking while the lots of missiles is going on. So you can see that we do that here. And every class has a DCD that they can pop, whether you're a DPS, a healer, a tank, it doesn't matter. Assassin DPS, for example, we can pop Shroud on this first lots of missiles to take virtually no damage from it. I usually pop mine like about half a second into the channel so that the missiles are already starting to hit me by the time I pop it. So I might take a tiny bit of damage, but I'm not going to take that much, because my Shroud is going to eat the majority of the rest of it, if not all of it. Also, snipers can pop Entrench, especially if they're taking Pillbox and all of that, so that they're taking less damage from AoE abilities. So that'll help a lot. Marauders should pretty much always be using Cloak of Pain, stuff like that. And then Sorks, you can pretty much just giggle the entire way through it. But you can pop Unnatural Preservation, you can pop Cloud Mine, put a static barrier on yourself. You should never really have to use Force Barrier for this. It doesn't hit that hard. Your healers should be able to heal through it as long as people are not stacked on top of each other. And then operatives, you can shield probe, you can roll. Mercs and power techs can pop their energy shield. Juggernauts can do endure pain or enrage defense. So on and so forth.
Crap, I don't have my orb.
Airstrike in 5.
Spread out. All right, we have our first airstrike. So this is pretty straightforward. It's just the medium red circles that appear on the ground, and then some missiles are gonna hit those spots. All you have to do is move out of them. So when one red circle spawns on you, you move out of it, and then a second one is going to appear underneath you. You just move out of that as well, and that's all that's necessary to do for airstrike. You shouldn't be taking any damage from airstrike at all, as long as you get out of those red circles. It is at this time, however, that the tanks need to start getting ready for the huge grenades. So the tanks, as soon as airstrike ends, the tanks need to be standing right next to each other wherever they are holding the boss and wherever they are facing the boss, just in case only one of them gets the huge grenade. and that way the tank that doesn't get the huge grenade can take the boss and keep aggro on the boss to protect the rest of the group. And we're going to talk about that huge grenade here in just a second.
Huge bomb in 5.
Adds out. Now here we have our first huge grenade, although you'll notice that there's actually 2 of them now in Nightmare. In hard mode, only 1 huge grenade goes out, and it always goes on one of the tanks. In Nightmare, 2 huge grenades go out at the same time, and one always goes on a tank, the other one will go on a random other person. It could be the other tank, it could be a DPS, it could be a healer. You'll notice that on this particular one, it goes on a tank, and then it goes on a different role, either a DPS or a healer. So, before I talk about how our group does the split on who runs where when this happens, I want to mention one thing. As soon as airstrike ends, not only do the tanks need to be in position to get ready for that huge grenade, so that one can taunt the boss if that one doesn't get the grenade, but the DPS and the healers should also be stacking a little bit to the left of the boss, not right up on him if you're not melee, but try to move yourselves a little bit to the left so that you're already in position to move the huge grenade. And here's why. Our group just splits by role and also by frames. So here's what I mean by that. In this instance, one tank and one other role both got the huge grenade. So the role split goes like this for us. If you are not a tank, you are going to run that huge grenade to the left, no matter what, to the left of wherever the boss is. If you are the tank, you are always going to run that huge grenade to the right of wherever the boss is. And if you have the huge grenade, you have to make sure that 2 things happen. You have to make sure that the big red circle is not touching anybody in the group other than yourself. And you have to make sure it's not touching any of the rocks around the arena, because it's going to destroy those rocks if it's touching them when it explodes, and that gives you less cover for the launch sequence, which we're going to discuss later. So that is the role split. The frame split only applies to the tanks, so we split by frames if both tanks get the grenade. If the tank in the left frame gets the grenade, that tank runs left. When the tank in the right frame gets the grenade, at the same time as the tank in the left frame, that tank runs right. So we just have them split by frames to do that. There are also a myriad of DCDs that different classes can utilize to take less damage from these grenades when they go off. For example, any DPS class that has a taunt, such as Assassin, Juggernaut, Power Tech, we can all pop our AoE taunt to take 60% reduced damage from AoE effects. And that 60% is a lot. Every time I get the grenade and I pop that AoE taunt right before the grenade explodes, I take almost 0 damage from that grenade. It's amazing. Marauders, you can use Predation, you can use Undying Rage, you can use Cloak of Pain, usually Predation or Mad Dash if you can time it right, if you take that instead of Undying Rage. Snipers, you can do evasive maneuvers plus seek cover plus roll plus countermeasures to really make that grenade almost have 0 impact on you. And then operatives, you can shield probe or you can roll if you time it just before the grenade explodes. Sorcerers can force barrier, cloud mind, big heals from healers, you can use unnatural preservation. Mercs, you can use energy shield and plus big heals from your healers, or even on yourself if you want to use an instant heal on yourself if you can, stuff like that. Sin and Twist.
Listen, please.
Okay, real quick, this is the second lots of missiles in his sequence, in his rotation. It's at this point that the next thing he's going to do is launch. So when he's doing this second cast of lots of missiles in this position, you should already be starting to look for what rock you are going to go to in order to take cover from launch. You don't have to run to it quite yet, but you need to know where you're going and trying not to find the same rock as somebody else, and I'll explain why here in just a minute. But yeah, the second lots of missiles in a rotation is when you need to start preparing to go to rocks. Find a rock.
Ooh.
And we have launch. So it's at this point that you need to be booking it to a rock, maybe even slightly before he actually gets the ability to go off. So you find a rock, and ideally, the rock that you find that you plan to go to is close to where the boss is going to be when he lands in his next position. That way you can get on him as quickly as possible, and his second position after the first launch is going to be right over here by this front gate. So he's going to move clockwise around the arena from there. I almost said quackwise. Anyway, he's going to move clockwise around the arena with each launch. So the second position is this front gate up here. And all the same rules apply as before whenever he lands there. You're going to go through lots of missiles. You're going to go through airstrike, huge grenade, a second set of lots of missiles, and then another launch. But here's what happens when launch comes out. You go find your rock, and when the launch sequence ends and the boss is back on the ground, all the DPS can swarm the boss, and then the tank that had the boss first, meaning the tank that got stunned on the first set, is going to be responsible for gathering up all of the ads. They look like little probe droids. That tank is going to grab all of the ads around the arena that spawn after launch, and they're going to drag them to the boss. Meanwhile, the other tank, the one that did not get stunned on the first sequence, they still have their CC breaker, or they should. So that tank is going to take the boss at that point for this second set. So one tank grabs ads, groups them up, brings them to the boss. Other tank grabs the boss and keeps threat on him. All the DPS are near the boss, hitting the boss, until the tank that has the ads brings those ads to the boss. So at that point, you have options. You can AoE them down. You can focus target down one at a time. Our group usually just AoEs them down. They don't have a lot of health. They die pretty quickly as long as everybody reacts accordingly. Once all the ads are dead, you get back on the boss, and the rotation starts again from there. And the last thing regarding launch, this is what I said I would explain in a minute. When you're hiding behind a rock, you can be the only person that's hiding behind that rock. There cannot be more than one person per rock during the launch sequence. And the reason for that is if you have more than one person on a rock during launch, both of those people are going to die. So save your healers a headache and save your team the res by only having one person per rock. And don't have a bad time.
Sorry, I didn't get back quick enough for you.
I got both.
I'm right next to you, though.
DPS on boss.
Sorry, it's haunting.
Oh, I'm in big trouble. I have no energy.
Watch your feet.
Got bomb.
Ads out. Spread out. Find a rock.
I got it.
DPS on boss. Group up for heals. Spread out.
Yuri.
Oh, crap.
Find a
We are
rock.
close to burn. Very close. 24%.
Find a rock. Ease off.
When he comes back
Here,
down,
see if
don't
you can
bring
hit
the
these
ads.
ads.
Yeah. Keep the ads away from the boss. DPS. Kill the ads.
I
I'm
got
working on it
both.
right now.
Really fast. The reason that we're not bringing the ads to the boss on this particular final transition here is because he's too close to being pushed into burn phase, which is at 20% of his health. And we don't want to push him into burn phase while there are ads out, because there's a lot of damage that's going to go out during burn phase. And we just don't want to add to that by there being trash mobs out with us. So that's why we made the adjustment on the fly here. But generally speaking, you do still want to bring the ads to the boss as long as you're not going to push him into burn while they're there. And I'll explain burn phase here in just a second.
Please you get ads.
Okay, I got ads. Where are you taunting?
Perfect.
Alright, on boss. Alright, he's in burn. Nod.
Nod, run.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And finally, we have burn phase. Now, there's not a whole lot mechanically that's going on during burn phase, but there is a ton of AoE damage going out to the raid group from the boss. It hurts. It's so much damage that the healers cannot heal through it sustainably long term. They can keep everybody up for a good while if everybody's, utilizing their DCDs appropriately. But ultimately, the longer burn phase goes on, the probability, the more likely it is that people are going to start dying. So pop your DCDs. Don't pop them all at once. Cycle through them, because if you pop them all at once, you're probably just going to die when they all wear off. But big damage time to get that boss dead as quickly as possible. Now, as far as the mechanics that do matter, our group has 6 out of 8 people stand inside of this fiery circle whenever he starts burn phase. When his health reaches 20% is when burn phase commences, and he lowers himself to the ground like a transformer trying to turn into a car, and he puts this fiery circle around himself. So we have 6 out of 8 people stand inside that fiery circle for AoE heals. But if you're going to do that, just make sure that you're not stacked on top of each other, because he's still doing lots of missiles, and you'll still punish each other if you're stacked on top of each other and taking extra damage. So spread out as much as you can inside those flames, and then we have 2 people stand outside of the flames, usually a ranged DPS and the healer, and the reason for that is because we just can't comfortably fit everybody inside the fire without people stacking on top of each other. So he's also going to put 1 huge grenade out still randomly on somebody periodically throughout burn phase. It can be anyone in the group at all. It's not role dependent anymore. Like, you're not going to guarantee a tank gets it, but it's just 1 grenade at a time now. So whoever gets that grenade still has to run it out of the group, but it no longer matters if you destroy rocks with it, because the rocks are no longer important. You don't need them anymore once the boss is in burn phase. The other thing that the boss is going to do is randomly pull somebody into him, and that you can't control who he does that to. It just sucks if he does it to the person that has the huge grenade. Timing is usually everything on that, but you can't always help it. So if he picks you to pull him into, it's just unfortunate RNG. So you'll also see that our sniper rolled into the group and popped their ballistic shield. That's really helpful, because it's like a straight 25% damage reduction for anybody standing inside of it, which allows people to delay the use of their DCDs if you can afford it. So to kind of sum up burn phase here, it's just a lot of damage going out. So cycle your DCDs, healers heal hard, get the huge grenade out every time it comes out. Stack inside the fire if you're comfortable with it for AoE heals. Well, don't stack, but stand inside the fire. Just spread out while you're in that circle as much as you can. And then the healing priority is also tanks thank you for your service, but in burn phase, you no longer matter. because there's no threat for you to hold anymore in burn phase. The boss is just constantly doing AoE damage. So the healing priority is DPS and healers, and top off the tanks if you have time to do so without sacrificing a DPS or a healer. But at this point, the DPS and the healers are all that matter. So, once again, guys, I'm Amethine. Thank you for watching and for listening. I hope this guide was helpful. And please keep an eye out for the next one for Scum and Villainy, which will be Thrasher. And enjoy the rest of the fight. It's about over. Have a good one. Beauty if you can, Bloodthirst. Please.
Sen, run.
As fast as I can without hydraulics. Ugh.
She's like the
Ninja.
black ninja run. Bitch.
Let's go.
Wow,
Oh,
that was the most,
yeah!
that was the most commanding I ever heard Tram speak to Ninja. Holy shit.
Wait, what was
Yeah.
this achievement we got?
Surviving.
Wait.
We survived it.
No one died. Yeah, there was no one dead whenever he died.
Yeah, that was.
That was cool.
Twist.
That's
You
I-
didn't die.
But we one-shotted him, which is great.